The AI Coding Primer is a free, open source resource for anyone exploring AI supported full stack product development. This should take about 20 minutes to set up, and at the end, you'll have a development environment for building apps, testing locally, and deploying to a live cloud environment. We'll build a sample project you can customize and share. I'll be walking you through a video of my daughter Una setting up my recommended development environment and custom skills that accompany my AI Coding Primer guidebook. Una has never coded and has never installed any developer tools on her laptop. She's my guinea pig. Before starting this, we did set up a Claude Pro account, a free GitHub account, and a free Cloudflare account. These are all prerequisites. Review in the TLDR or setup sections before beginning this setup. You'll get stuck if you don't. Also note that you'll need to enable R2 storage in Cloudflare, which requires a credit card on file. Their free limits are very generous, so it's likely to remain free. This video is on a Mac, but you can also use Windows or Linux. Follow the alternative instructions in the guide. Okay, let's go. Start at my AI Coding Primer on GitHub. You can review the guide, or, if you want to jump right in, tap the TLDR Fast Track link. Just a reminder to have the prerequisite accounts and log into them before starting to ensure smooth sailing. Open a terminal window, Command Space, then type Terminal. Each step has a copy button, so you don't have to highlight the text. If you've never installed Homebrew, a package manager for developers, this will be the first step, and it requires an admin password. Should be the only time. Don't worry if you don't understand the feedback. There will be a lot of it. That's totally normal. Think of terminal output as the AI's internal monologue. It's talking to itself, not to you. In order for the terminal to find Homebrew, we need to add it to your path info. Copy these 3 lines and paste them into the command line. I type brew just to make sure it works, but you don't have to. Next, we'll install node.js. This is a JavaScript runtime, basically the engine Claude uses to run code in this environment. Then we're on the fun stuff. Install Claude Code. The next commands create a development folder in your home directory. This is a standard practice. Then changes the directory to the new folder. Now you're in the development folder. Next, we'll start Claude Code and get it set up. Choose your style. Next, we need to log in. If you're already logged in with the browser, this will be a snap. If not, you'll need to jump through the login process. Authorize, then jump back to the terminal. Accept the disclaimer and recommended settings. Trust your development folder. And we're ready to go. Next, we'll install the custom skills I've created for this primer. Since I'm not in the official Claude Marketplace, first step is to install the Marketplace. Then install the skills. Choose Install for You, User Scope. Now we need to restart Claude. Anytime you modify Claude, you should restart as a general practice. Type /exit. Type Claude to relaunch. Now we can use the first skill, our primer setup skill. This will run a system health check to make sure everything is set up properly, then install our MCP servers and additional skills that give us superpowers. From here on, you'll be asked, do you want to proceed? A lot. For everything in this setup and guide, I'd say it's safe. Most of what it's doing is running curl and bash commands. These are command line tools for fetching content and executing actions. When you get more comfortable with what it's doing, you can switch to auto accept or accept certain actions for the rest of the session. For now, just keep hitting the enter key. This is a good moment to remind you that you don't need to understand the output. You can learn, but it's mostly for Claude to monitor, and it will tell you in plain English if there's anything you need to do. Next, we're going to link our GitHub and Cloudflare accounts. Hopefully you've set these up and are logged in with your browser. For Git, you'll want to add the name and email you used to set up your account. You may see some errors. In general, this isn't something to worry about and is a message to Claude. More often than not, Claude works through these errors and resolves them. If it needs your help, it will ask. In this case, it would have opened a browser window and tried to add a one-time code, but I jumped in and did it manually. Sometimes it gets stuck and needs a little help. GitHub is now linked and authorized, and on we go to Cloudflare. Cloudflare opens the browser to authorize the connection. Now on to the MCP servers. These are like special connectors that let Claude reach out and use external services directly. No copying and pasting between tools. Context 7 is a repository for up-to-date documentation on all coding resources. Cloudflare MCP gives direct access to all the tools in your Cloud Services Toolkit. This one step requires a little manual help. Just copy and paste each of the 4 plugins one at a time. Plugins contain Claude skills, which give Claude resources for doing more specialized things. When they're all done, just type Done. Una doesn't use Figma yet, so we skip it. But if you do, the connection between Figma and Claude Code is very powerful and is now two-way, read and write. Playwright is genuinely one of the most powerful tools here. It lets Claude open a real browser, interact with your app, and catch bugs on its own. It saves a ton of debugging time. And at this point, we should be done setting up the environment. We'll need to restart Claude again. Type /exit, then Claude. We can now create a new project. Type /, then begin typing the action name. You'll see the A New Project action. You can choose to either use the sample project or set up an empty project. Let's try the sample project first. Call it whatever you want. This will name the folder and project. Next, we're cloning the sample from the repository. Accept all the changes and settings. Now we'll personalize it. This is replacing some of the default content in the sample. You can add as many social links as you'd like. This is like a little link tree. We're just adding the GitHub account for now. You can always add more later. Next, it asks for a photo to replace the avatar. We'll add it later, but if you have it on hand, you can just drop it right into the terminal window. The next step is adding a weather widget. It's set up to use the free weatherapi.com service. If you want to connect it, jump over to weatherapi.com and create a free account. Grab the API key, first thing you see when you create the account, and paste it in. Don't worry about any errors. Keep saying yes. You might see some errors during this step. Claude works through them automatically. This is a good example of errors being a normal part of the process, not a sign anything's wrong. We now have a local server running our sample app on localhost. This is only running on our computer and is where you'll work through problems and ideas before you deploy to the live server. Let's check it out. Let's see what it can do. Opening Una's GitHub account. Let's try the AI chat. This is an open source llama model, which is free to use with Cloudflare, and it's pre-trained on the Primer guidebook, so it can be a helpful resource. Now let's deploy to Cloudflare and make it live. And we're live. Seeing a few issues. Let's start with the AI chat not working. I'll just copy the error message and share with Claude. This is the general back and forth you'll have with Claude building, refining, and troubleshooting. You can also take screenshots and drag them into the terminal window. You can see Claude is using your help to troubleshoot. In this case, we hadn't set up the database schema. Now it's working. Now I see the weather isn't working. Seems like the keys haven't been set in worker secrets. This is how Cloudflare manages API keys and sensitive info you don't want anyone to access. Now let's add a new module, something super simple. With a little more time, this could be something more complicated, like a map widget or an input field. All you need to do is describe what you want, and Claude will build it. Next, I want to know how to connect Una's domain name to this deployed worker. I can just ask Claude to help me. Now the site is running at unahaggerty.com. Next, let's swap out that avatar image. Done. and the rest is up to your imagination and curiosity. Ask questions, explore. If you get stuck, ask Claude. And remember, the AI chat in your sample app is trained on this primer, so it's a good first stop when you have questions. If you run into issues, you can file them or start a discussion on the GitHub page. Thanks for watching.